our estate plan. You ought to really read what you sign, Ryan. Now get out before I call Michael and have him escort you out. He bolts. Not out of fear, but rather because he understands this is a starting point. For that he knows me sufficiently. From the floor, I grab the photo album and use my finger to follow our younger faces. We seem to be naive and rather joyful. Such outstanding liars, every one of us. The cafe Megan and I used to keep secrets in seems smaller now. Perhaps that is the weight of what I am about to undertake. Alternatively, maybe everything from my past is diminishing and losing relevance with every fresh betrayal I come across. Still sporting the twin of her wedding band, Megan glides into the seat across from me. Seeing it tastes like acid in my coffee. She adds, her fingers tensely stroking the rim of her unethered latte. I didn't think you would come. Funny. I didn't you'd marry my husband. The words come out softer than I intended, which somehow makes them cut deeper. She stumbles. Eleanor. I slide the bank statements across the table like cards in a rigged game. Did you know about the trust fund? The one Laura configured for next generations? Her face loses hue, not from remorse but from wrath. Quite interesting. What trust fund? That is indeed surprising now. Her hands quivering slightly, I watch her go over the papers. $3 million, I say. Set aside for the grandchildren Laura always wanted. Guess I was not producing them fast enough. This can't be right. Megan pulls the contaminated-looking papers away. Ryan said the marriage was only a formality for his inheritance. He said, I chuckle and it sounds like shattered glass. That he loved you, Megan? That I was cold, distant, career-obsessed? That's exactly what he told his mother about me last month. She stares fiercely. How come you aware of that? Because I have spent the last week learning just how completely my husband, our husband, has been playing us both. The waiter walks over, but we both wave him away without looking up. There is more, I said, pulling out my phone. Want to hear Ryan talking about property investments with Laura? The ones using your family's real estate contacts? Megan's voice falters as my family's? Ryan knew well before he ever asked her out that her mother, Grace, runs one of the biggest real estate companies in Boston. Did you ever wonder why he chose us? Asks the question hanging between us like fog. The two best friends who'd never bet each other. The perfect cover story. Stop. Megan gets up fast and her chair scrapes the floor. I understand you trying to hurt me since I hurt you. I deserve it, but... Sit down. My voice never changes. The best portion hasn't yet been heard. She sits, more from shock at my voice than from compliance. Remember that summer internship Ryan helped you get at Grace's firm? The one that convinced your mother he was such a wonderful guy? I slipped one more document across the table. Look at the date on that property transfer. Her hands shake as she reads. This is the signature of my mother, but she would never sell her prime investment property for half its worth. She had no idea she did. Check the signatures of the witnesses. Megan recognizes her own handwriting and crumples her face. I was just notarizing documents. Ryan said it was practice for my license, while I was planning our wedding. You were unintentionally helping him steal from your own mother. The truth tastes terrible on my mouth. He played us both, Megan. The only difference was that I worked it out before he could take everything. For the first time since she sat down, she glances up at me, very definitely stares at me. What are you going to do? I get to stand and gather the paperwork. Invalid question. The actual one is, what are we going to do? We? I draw one last item, a USB disk with what I have found, and say, you have two choices. Keep playing his game and lose everything, or help me take him down. Your mother's company, my savings, Laura's reputation. He's built his entire plan on the presumption that we would never compare notes. Megan fixes her eyes on the drive as though it could bite. If this gets out, everything burns. I run my palm over hers and feel the matching wedding band. But we will be the ones holding the matches this time. She tightens her fingers over the disc, and I catch a flash of the buddy I used to know. Fierce, devoted, relentless when crossed. When should we begin? I smile and it feels true for the first time in weeks. Our already have. From the kitchen counter, 3 empty wine bottles mock me. Not my typical poison, but tonight is not usual. Ryan's workplace papers are scattered around our dining room table, our wedding present from Laura, like bits of a jigsaw I never wanted to solve. Another Ryan message on my phone brightens it. Please let us discuss this sensibly. Logical. Like the method he erected this palace of lies? Like the deliberate accuracy with which he decided on his marks? Once more buzzing is the phone. Megan, this one time. Grace is inquiring, we must get going more quickly. I turn it off, but my hands continue to shingle. The scope of what we intend at last strikes me. This goes beyond simply calling attention to Ryan now. We are discussing ruining families, names, life. The doorbell sounds. I wonder momentarily about ignoring it. Then, though, I hear the key in the lock. Ryan is the only person with that key except one other. Michael walks into the dining room and absorbs the anarchy. Jesus, Eli? When's the last time you slept? I faintly point at the papers. Did you know Ryan's father committed himself? Michael goes still. What? I pull out the newspaper clipping I discovered hidden in Laura's bank records 10 years ago, right after Ryan graduated law school. Officially, it was a hunting accident. Unofficially, I push forward a stack of bank records. He found Laura and Ryan had been embezzling years from his company. Christ. Michael settles onto a chair. Does everyone else know? Just the person who has been sending me anonymous tips. I tap the table burner phone. They sent me this today. I slipped over duplicates of William Mitchell's suicide note. He tried to expose them, Michael. He tried to stop them, and they... My voice failures. Michael reaches for my hand. Eli, but I back off. I'm becoming them. The words taste like ash. I'm turning into exactly what I hate from all these plans for revenge, for justice. No, you're not. Michael says with stern voice. You're shielding Megan's company, your future, Grace's. Am I? I get up, moving slowly. Or am I just so focused on destroying Ryan that I don't care who gets caught in the crossfire? Because right now, I'm seated here planning to expose everything at the family reunion, knowing it will devastate people who had nothing to do with this. Like someone? I grab one of the wine bottles, not caring that it's empty. Like Ryan's sister's kids, who'll lose their college money when I uncover Laura's financial machinations, Grace's staff might lose their jobs should the company's reputation suffer. Like William Mitchell, who died trying to do the right thing, while I plot complex revenge scenarios like some comic book villain. Michael pauses silently for a protracted length of time. He stands up, then grabs the bottle from my hand. You wish to know how you differ from them? I turn aside, but he keeps on. You're torturing yourself about the moral consequences of your actions here at 3 o'clock in the morning. They're sleeping peacefully, counting their money and planning their next con. That does not make it right. No, it doesn't. He begins systematically gathering and sorting the documents. But it means you have a choice. You can expose everything dramatically at the reunion, as you planned, or what? Or we do this the right way, legally. Carefully. William Mitchell's suicide note is here, he said. We finish what Ryan's father started, but we do it smart. We first guard the innocent parties. Another message from the unknown source comes from the burner phone buzzing. Inquire of Laura about the offshore accounts. I fix my eyes on the message, then on the anarchy all over my dining room table. 7 years of marriage, a lifetime of friendliness, generations of lies, all leading to this moment. I say at last, okay. Show me how I should do this right. Michael nods and gets out his phone. First, we should speak with a financial fraud expert. I know a man. I hold his arm and wait. Before we do this, I need know something. Are you helping me because I'm right or just because I'm your sister? He fixes my gaze consistently. Both and neither. I'm helping you since someone needs to stop them and you're strong enough to do it without becoming them. I examine the empty wine bottles, the strewn papers, the proof of my almost plunge into their realm of control and retribution. He may be right. Perhaps another method to burn it all down is here. Michael's friend, a lawyer, keeps chatting, but I fixed on the one single sheet of paper in front of me, a name list. Mainly children. Trustees of which our scheme would fall apart if we carried on. The offshore accounts are just the beginning, James Harrison continues, distributing more papers over his mahogany desk. Laura Mitchell's financial web runs at least 3 generations of both families. How many people would be affected? My voice sounds far even to myself. Directly, roughly 30, indirectly. He shrugs. We're talking about tearing down a decades-long program. The knock-on effects might affect hundreds. Michael forward leans. But we can prove the fraud readily. The issue is whether we should. James runs over the name list. Some of these trust funds are supporting education and medical treatment. I get up quickly and head to the window. Stop! Boston spreads out below, unconcerned about the bomb we are about to blow. Another way has to be found. There is buzz on my phone. Megan. Grace came upon the missing property records. Michael adds, reading across my shoulder, she's calling Laura today. We're running out of time. Anyhow, everything falls apart if Grace confronts Laura straight. I then go back to James. How long would it take to get protection for the innocent parties? Weeks, maybe months. We would want... The door of the office explodes open. Laura Mitchell is there, always flawless, but her eyes are crazy. I should have known you'd run to Michael, she says, sneers. James begins. How did you... My daughter works in your building, James. Did Eleanor tell you that part? How many families she's ready to destroy for her revenge? That's rich coming from you, Michael adds, standing and straying between us. Laura pays me more attention than him. You think you're protecting people? William thought the same thing. Look where that got him. The chamber falls quiet. Even the metropolitan noise appears to fade. What did you just say? My hands knuckles white, clutch the rear of the chair. Oh, did your anonymous friend tell you everything? Laura asks with a stern smile. William tried to fix our plans, rerouting money to safeguard the beneficiaries, just as you are planning. He did not just discover them. And you stopped him. The bits fit together. The hunting accident was... She says just that, then pauses. An accident. Her eyes dart away. The point is, Eleanor, some buildings cannot be taken down without destroying everything they support. You're not just fighting Ryan or me, you're fighting generations of carefully balanced arrangements. I spit, arrangements built on lies and theft. Built on necessity, she says, getting closer. Did Ryan tell you why he married you? Your family's 3 generations of judges and prosecutors, 3 generations of perfect shield. Once more buzz comes from my phone. On the screen Grace's name shows. Take the call, Laura urges gently. Listen to Grace, discover what her daughter's been hiding, watch another family break, or... She pulls out an envelope. We might talk about substitutes. Michael says, Eli, don't? What alternatives? My voice is firm but my heart bangs against my ribs. Laura says, a clean break. A generous settlement. The innocent parties stay protected. Laura lays the envelope on James's desk. Everyone wins. Michael says, everyone except justice, quickly. Laura chuckle. Ask Eleanor what she actually wants, justice or peace. My phone keeps vibrating. These days, Megan's messages complement Grace's calls. From the desk, the name list stares up at me. Children, families, futures. How long do I have to decide? The words taste like surrender. Laura steps to the door. Until Grace finishes reading those papers. Choose deliberately, Eleanor. Unlike William, you still have options. She goes, and the office seems both bigger and more stifling. You cannot seriously be thinking about this, Michael says. I pick up the name list then my still buzzing phone. What if her right is what if trying to correct this just makes everything worse? Not justice, but that's fear talking. Maybe. I glance at James. But what if terror is trying to convey something vital? One last time the phone buzzes, then goes quiet. It is too late to stop whatever Grace found now. I pick Laura's envelope and feel the weight of choices not yet taken. I need to talk to Megan, I say at last, before we decide anything else. Because sometimes, I continue, I'm learning revenge isn't about who you're willing to hurt but who you're willing to spare. Before me sits the Mitchell family estate, its windows shining like evening caution signals. All the actors gathered for what they believe to be a surprise anniversary party for Laura and her second husband. Cars fill the circular driveway. Michael says, standing next to me and clutching the bag full of all the evidence, every paper, every recording, last chance to back out. Megan appears at my other shoulder and says, they're already inside, her voice taut. Grace is with them, Ryan is watching the door like a hawk. I change my black dress, funeral suitable, though they are not yet aware of it. Did you check the exits? James has people stationed at every door, Michael says, glancing at his watch. No one leaves until everything's disclosed once you start. Laura's envelope weighs against my ribs, nestled into my garment. Her offer of silence, of protection for the innocent, weighs against me. Still not opened. Still conceivable. We arrive in the kitchen, where caterers are busy without realizing they are presenting Mitchell Dynasty Last Supper. Ryan finds me right away. His face flickers between skepticism and relief. Eleanor. He comes near me carrying a champagne glass. I didn't suppose you would show up? And Miss Laura's party? My smile feels like broken glass. Would not dream of it. His gaze flies to Megan, to Michael, to the briefcase. I see the instant he discovers something is wrong, but Laura's voice breaks through the hushes of discussion. Everyone, kindly collect in the main hall. The audience moves, carrying with it us. I notice flashes of familiar faces. Grace, pale but understated. Laura's second husband, blind and radiant. Ryan's sister, gripping hands of her children. The young ones. God. The sons. Laura pulls out her glass. Thanks all for showing up to... Actually, I forward, my voice carrying across the unexpected silence. I'd like to say something first. Ryan comes toward me, but Michael blocks his way. Megan takes a seat close to Grace. Laura says, Eleanor, her voice low, give great thought to what you are doing. I open the still sealed envelope she handed me. I have thought about it. For weeks, I've thought about nothing else. I turn to face the room. About justice and protection. About who deserves the truth and who deserves mercies. Eli, Ryan's voice now clearly reflects actual terror. Whatever you think you know, I know everything. I open the briefcase, but not yet. I do not remove the papers. About William's death? About the trust funds? About your 2 marriages, Laura's schemes, Laura's lies to keep this house of cards standing. The space comes alive in whispers. Grace marches onward, her face ashen. Megan, Grace replies with shaky voice. I apologize. Mom. Megan's voice breaks. I knew nothing, not until Eleanor showed me. Clutching her children tighter, Ryan's sister asks, Showed you what? What are you doing? I look at the kids. Their innocent futures waiting on my next words, their perplexed faces. The envelope from Laura sears on my flesh. The truth, I say quietly, is that I came here tonight to destroy everything. To expose decades of fraud and manipulation. To get justice for everyone who's been hurt by the Mitchell family's lies. I get the first paper, William's actual suicide note. Laura moves rather silently. But standing here, looking at all of you, I glance back at Ryan. I understand something worse than being misled. Something worse than being deceived. Michael says, Eleanor, his voice tight. But I continue. The very thing you're fighting against is becoming. I touch it to Laura's envelope. The paper catches fast and I drop it into the briefcase. I find a match in my handbag. No. Michael jumps forward, but it's too late. Years of careful investigation burning to ash. With it burns my opportunity at justice, at revenge, at everything I thought I wanted. Since at times the best retribution is redemption rather than destruction. Laura sits across from me on the marble island, both of us wet from the sprinklers, watching cops cart away boxes of evidence. The actual evidence, not the decoy files I burned, painted Laura's perfect kitchen in alternating red and blue. Copies, I answer softly. Everything in that briefcase? Merely copies. The originals arrived at the FBI 1 hour ago. Her immaculate nails pound against her coffee cup. You chose this moment on purpose. The party here. Family gathering. Like father, like daughter-in-law. I slide William's real suicide note across the desk. He planned to disclose everything at your anniversary party too, didn't he? Prior to the hunting mishap. The drumming stops. Michael is watching with grim enjoyment through the glass, Ryan being guided to a police car. Laura's voice quivering. You don't understand what you've done, she continues. Those trust funds were being protected. Pulling out my phone, I show her the court orders. Every innocent beneficiary has been lawfully detached from the false accounts. The kids will hang on to their college money. The treatment keeps on medical level. I sense actual dread in her eyes for the first time. How? Much is leaning closer, I add. I had 3 weeks after you presented me the envelope. 3 weeks where you felt you would win. Did you truly believe I was doing nothing for that period? Much we hear activity at the door. Grace walks in, followed by federal officers. Her eyes connect with Laura's. Grace states, simply, you killed William when he tried to protect my daughter from your schemes. Laura stands so fast that her chair falls over. That's absurd. Much as I interrupted, William was going to expose how you used Megan to access Grace's company records, then, how you manipulated Ryan into marrying us both to maintain your financial facade.